is of course the pharmacotherapy of secondary obesity. I'll not be discussing the research. I shall not be discussing anti-obesity drugs that are either being withdrawn or are not available in India, or drugs that are on the horizon. I believe there was a session yesterday. But what I will do cover today is the pathophysiologic basis of pharmacotherapy, the inherent fundamental limitations of anti-obesity pharmacotherapy, some of the efficacy criteria for an anti-obesity agent laid out by the US FDA, the indications, and some anti-obesity options that we have available in India, whether they are on label or off label. Well, you can have a number of mechanisms by which you can tackle obesity and have different interventions. You can basically reduce food intake. So drugs that reduce food intake by amplifying the effects of signals or factors that inhibit food intake, or block signals or factors that augment food intake. Essentially, drugs that suppress hunger or promote satiety. You could have drugs that block the absorption of carbohydrates or fats in the intestine. You could have drugs, and these are receiving increasing attention, drugs that actually increase thermogenesis or promote the conversion of energy-conserving white adipose tissue to energy-dissipating brown adipose tissue. And this is done at the level of mediastinal fat. So you have drugs that actually cause dissipation of food energy. Or you could have drugs that increase energy expenditure through the enhancement of physical activity or exercise mimetics, much like what metformin does, where it causes the induction of AMP-induced protein kinase. This is exactly what exercise also does. You could then have drugs which would regulate the synthesis and breakdown of fat by making appropriate adjustments, food intake or energy expenditure. And finally, you would have drugs which fool the body into thinking that there are excess fat stores so that the internal set point is moderated. The ideal, efficacious and safe anti-obesity agent, I think, is yet to be found. And there have been several drugs that fell by the roadside. And that is because we need to understand the inherent fundamental limitations when we talk of anti-obesity agents. I think the pathophysiology of obesity is something which we have not completely understood. And there are several complex and multiple systems that govern body weight. And these systems are ubiquitous. They are present in several tissues. So it is probably biologically next to impossible to selectively target adipose tissue without causing some impact on long-term survival and mortality. Also, our bodies are intrinsically biased towards energy conservation. We are not built for energy loss. So that is the great limitation when we start thinking of anti-obesity agents. The other thing is that in the course of evolution, this is something very fundamental. Hunger is the driving force for creativity and cognition. It has been shown that hunger causes an improvement in higher brain function. So if you are going to intervene and suppress hunger, you probably are also going to interfere with cognition. Any strategy that promotes satiety centrally relies on a continuous reactive oxygen species production in the hypothalamic propio-melanocortin hormones, which give the anorexigenic signal. And this is also associated with glucose-triggered ROS production in the peripheral tissues, and that could lead to tissue damage. And one of the tissues which is very susceptible to ROS damage is the cardiac tissue, which is probably why several anti-obesity agents, such as sibutramine, for example, fell by the roadside because of the cardiac toxicity. Strategies which will target specific neurotransmitter systems like serotonin or noradrenaline circuits, for example, will by default affect higher brain functions such as emotional states and sleep-wake cycles, and that is why several anti-obesity agents cause new onset anxiety, depression, or insomnia. And when you start losing weight, probably by diet or maybe by pharmacotherapy, this is counteracted by the adaptive biological and behavioral responses such that the metabolic rate of the body is slowed down and hunger is promoted as soon as you start losing weight. So this is something which is a limiting factor for success of an anti-obesity agent. And finally, as was mentioned, what is more difficult is to maintain what you lost. The individual necessarily has to reduce energy intake or increase energy expenditure indefinitely to sustain weight loss. And these are some of the limitations when you start developing any anti-obesity agent. Now, in 2007, the US FDA came out with a document advising the pharmaceutical industry as to what criteria are to be fulfilled before they get approval for an anti-obesity agent. And of course, one could read that document, but just a couple of criteria which I thought were important. That treatment with a pharmacotherapy agent should lead to a mean reduction in body weight of 5% compared to placebo, and or at least 35% of subjects in the treatment arm compared to the placebo should maintain at least a 5% reduction in body weight compared with their baseline weight. And this percentage in the active arm should be double the number in the placebo arm. And the required duration for demonstrating weight loss and maintenance in confirmatory phase 3 trials is prescribed to be 1 year. A lot was said very lucidly about the limitations of BMI, and I hope these criteria can in future be changed for me and incorporate the EOS criteria. But as of now, this is what is the indication for pharmacotherapy that you see in the middle panel, and this is for Caucasians. And I completely agree that this risk categorization as per BMI does not true hold for Indians. This is the Caucasian criteria. Pharmacotherapy for the BMI of 27 and above if there are comorbidities, and 30 or above irrespective of the comorbidities. But for Indians, you come down a notch below, so that for Indians, you could start pharmacotherapy for a BMI of 25 and above if there are comorbidities, and above 27 irrespective of whether there are comorbidities or not. This is by the Indian consensus group, but there is also indication as per the weight circumference, and that is defined as 10 centimeters above the gender-specific upper limit of normal, which boils down to at least or more than 100 centimeters for Indian males and 90 centimeters for Indian females. And remember, pharmacotherapy is always to be initiated and continue in conjunction with diet, exercise, and behavioral treatment. When you start a pharmacotherapeutic agents, you have to assess efficacy and safety on a monthly basis for the first 3 months, and then thereafter every 3 monthly. And what is the weight loss which you might aim for or consider significant, and that is defined as at least 5% of body weight, baseline body weight at the end of 3 months. Obviously, the drug has to be safe before you can think of continuing it. If you do not meet that weight loss criteria at the end of 3 months, or if there are safety and tolerability issues, you need to stop the medication and go in for some alternative approach. Now, till 2012, only one drug, orlistat, was approved by the US FDA, and that status continues today in Europe and even in India. And then subsequently, in the last 4-5 years, you have 4 other agents which were approved by the US FDA. The other agents, of course, are phentermine and topiramate combination. Now, this is, of course, a combination of non-selective activator of synaptic noradrenaline, serotonin, dopamine release, and topiramate, as you know, is an anti-epileptic agent. The problem with these agents, of course, dry mouth, constipation, insomnia, but also new onset anxiety and depression. So this is something you have to keep in mind if you ever get a chance to use this drug. Norpacetin is a selective hydroxytryptamine 2C receptor activator. So it does not activate the 2A and the 2B receptors, which means that you do not have the cardiac toxicity and the toxicity related to pulmonary hypertension problem with this drug is that it's not very effective in the long term. So that is one limitation, and there are some lingering doubts about tendency for new cancers, which is why it was withdrawn at one point in time and again reintroduced. And then you have a combination of naltrexone, which is an opioid antagonist used for alcohol and opioid dependence, and bupropion, which is an antidepressant also used for smoking cessation. Both are individually available in India. Or many of these drugs which are mentioned over here are individually available in India, but not in the doses which are to be used in combination for the pharmacotherapy of obesity. And finally, you have liraglutide, of course, which is available in India in a dose of 1.2 and 1.8 milligrams, which is approved for type 2 diabetes. The dose of 3 milligrams, which is approved by US FDA for the treatment of obesity, is currently not available. So if you are going to use liraglutide in India, it's going to be strictly an off-label use, which is what you must understand. So that leaves us with two agents which we have with us, approved and available is orlistat, available but not approved is liraglutide. So coming to orlistat, I am sure you are aware it's a pancreatic lipase inhibitor, reduces the absorption of ingested fat, and approximately compared to placebo in all the studies that you see, double the weight loss is seen with a dose of 120 milligrams 3 times a day. The adverse effects are irritating, bothersome, but not very serious. But that also means that the weight loss is going to be pretty modest. You need to add a multivitamin, and the patient needs to be advised to follow a reduced fat diet. So, as I said, the adverse effects are by and large not very serious, but you would have sometimes an acute oxalate nephropathy, or you can have an increased risk of kidney oxalate stone. So, that is something you have to keep in mind. And you also have to be mindful when you combine it with agents which need fat for their absorption, such as cyclosporine. So these are some of the contraindications to the use of orlistat. Of course, all anti-obesity agents are contraindicated in pregnancy. This was the ZEPHYRUS trial, basically which looked into the time to onset of type 2 diabetes and changes in body weight in subjects with normal or impaired glucose tolerance and BMI of more than 30. There were 3,300 odd patients. And what was seen is that the risk of development of diabetes in patients with impaired tolerance, glucose tolerance was lesser, 9% compared to placebo. And the risk reduction also was reduced. The mean weight loss compared to placebo at the end of 4 years of trial was 5.8 kgs compared to 3 kgs of placebo. I might also add that orlistat reduces the total and LDL cholesterol irrespective of the weight loss. You also have liraglutide, which I need not enlighten people about liraglutide. We all know it has a central anorectic effect, but what is now from recent animal studies has been shown that it may also increase the energy expenditure through brown adipose tissue activation and visceral white adipose tissue browning, the so-called beige effect, by activating again the AMP activated protein kinase similar to metformin in the hypothalamic ventromedial case. By and large, you could achieve a 9% weight loss with a dose of 3 milligrams, and of people who achieve that weight loss, 70% or above would maintain it for 3 years, and obviously it would reduce the progression to diabetes by about 80%. You start with a small dose as you do in diabetes and step up the dose and go up to 3 milligrams, but I will tell you that even a dose of 1.2 and 1.8 milligrams does well in non-diabetic obese individuals, as I have frequently used in India, though it's completely off-label, I repeat again. You have to stop treatment if the weight loss is less than 4% at the end of 16 weeks. Adverse effects and precautions and contraindications, I think we all know about it. The important thing to know is that you can sometimes get an increased risk of gallstones, and some of these gallstones can dislodge and block and be retired. Now, the SCALE program essentially evaluated the anti-obesity effect of liraglutide, and you had the SCALE program involving at least 4 or 5 trials in pure obese patients, obesity with pre-diabetes, obesity with diabetes, obesity with sleep apnea. This is one of the studies that I'm just showing you. This is, of course, a study which was done. You had 564 patients who were randomized. All of them had a BMI between 30 and 40. 18 to 65 years of age with a stable body weight. Mind you, these are obese subjects without diabetes. 2-week placebo running period, they were randomized to various doses of liraglutide from 1.2 onwards to 3 milligrams. There was a placebo arm and an orlistat arm, and this was in addition to 500 calorie deficit diet and increased physical activity. So for the first 20 weeks, the patient, the investigator, and the sponsor were blinded. At the end of 20 weeks, the sponsor was unblinded. The investigator and patients continued to be blinded, and then the same doses were continued for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, those in the placebo and the liraglutide arm were then continued on a dose of 2.4 milligrams, because that was the dose which was thought to be most effective at that time. But then between 70 to 96 weeks, the dose based on the inputs received at that time was changed variously to 3 milligrams, and the trial went on for 2 years. Now, what happened in this trial? At the end of 20 weeks here, you had about a 15% reduction in the body fat, a 2% reduction in the lean fat. At the end of 1 year, that I show you here, you have liraglutide 3 milligrams here at the bottom, and you have placebo over here, and you have orlistat in green. At the end of 1 year, that's over here, in the liraglutide 3 milligram arm, you had a 5.8 kg greater weight loss compared to the placebo arm, and a 3.8 kg greater difference weight loss compared to the orlistat arm. At the end of 2 years, each time the trial was over, in the liraglutide 3 milligram arm, the weight loss was 3 kg more compared to the orlistat arm. If you now look at the percentage of participants who had 5% weight loss and 10% weight loss at the end of 1 year, shown here in the first two panels, and then at the end of year 2, more than 5% and 10% weight loss. And if you look at these columns in the various shades of blue, which represent 1.8, 2.4, and 3 milligrams of liraglutide, and this is the placebo, this green is the orlistat, you will find that 1.8, 2.4, 3 milligrams was statistically better in terms of percent of patients who achieve more than 5% or 10% weight loss compared to the placebo. If you look at this is the arm that you see, I told you 2.4 or 3 milligrams of liraglutide. Compared to orlistat arm, you will find that at the end of year 2, this was again more than 5% weight loss was seen in a significantly greater percentage of patients with liraglutide 3 milligrams or 2.4 milligrams compared to orlistat. There are of course various other trials of saxenda or 3 milligrams liraglutide, which I am not showing you because they are done in pre-diabetics, in diabetics, and sleep apnea, but all of them actually have shown that you reduce actually also the progression to type 2 diabetes and improve the sleep apnea as well. So just to summarize, diet, lifestyle, and behavioral changes remain the mainstay of treatment of obesity. In patients who do not reach these goals, you could consider drugs, but there are inherent fundamental limitations while developing an anti-obesity agent. And if you decide to use that, you need to be aware of the indications and contraindications. Whatever drug you might use, you would expect a 5 to 15% weight loss at the most, and even that is difficult to sustain over a period of time. Off-label use of non-indicated products is not recommended. If you are going to use an off-label use of an indicated drug like liraglutide, please document the entire procedure and explain to the patient. Effective and safe pharmacological options for prevention and treatment of anti-obesity as a treatment for obesity remains elusive, and we hope that in the future some of the drugs which are still in the pipeline come into the market and are found to be effective and safe.